Tell me about some areas where you'd like to see change.
Where I'd like to see change.
Yes.
Ooh.
I know, I mean, we all know the work you're doing, say, with mental health. Is it to do with education, or is it to do with equality or environment?
Okay, honestly, in that department, I think I've set my eyes on mental health.
Mental health.
That's my purpose. That's what drives me. That's what gives me the most satisfaction. You know, even if you want to call it selfish, but that's what gives me the most amount of satisfaction. And I truly believe that it's important to focus on one thing and do it well versus trying to kind of not create impact by being involved into many things. So yes, if we're talking about social change, then mental health is what I'm 100% focused on. Of course, through my movies as well. When you see my next movie in January, it's about normalizing, and again, a conversation that we don't have very often is acid attack survivors, acid attack victims, what their lives are like.
And it's on the life of a real victim.
Yes, and how do you rehabilitate them? How do we make them feel a part of society? How do we not discriminate? So through my films, of course, I think that will always be a constant endeavor. But apart from the movies that I do, mental health it's got my full. In some way, I think Gauri Shinde's movie a couple of years ago, in a way, addressed it. I think in India we're still in a very nascent stage as far as our understanding of mental illness and mental health is concerned. But I don't see it not happening. I also think that directors would usually pick up a subject like that either if somewhere I feel like it needs to have a personal connect for a movie to do 100% justice to it, or then it requires a director who really understands it, because I think that's the complexity of mental illness. You don't what makes it even harder is the fact that it's not there aren't as many physical symptoms like, say, other illnesses, and I think that's what makes it a little more complex.
There is no diagnostic test.
No, there is.
No, there is not a pathological test.
There could be. There could be. Again, I may not be the right person to answer that, but I'm pretty sure a good doctor will be able to tell you that in your tests. But what I mean is, like, it's not like, say, cancer, for example, or it's not like diabetes, for example, where I think the symptoms are a lot of physical symptoms as well. With mental illness, you don't really. I think it's a little complex, and maybe that's why. And I think like I said, I think we're in a place where we haven't understood it completely, and that's exactly what the foundation does. We're working tirelessly towards building and creating that awareness, literally teaching the nation the ABC of anxiety and depression. We'll get there. I'm optimistic about it. And yes, having said that, I think that's why we need to be careful when we have films like, say, Mental Hai Kya, and you have a poster in a particular manner. We have to be sensitive towards these things, because on one hand, we're working towards destigmatizing mental illness, but if we're going to start stereotyping mental illness in a way that we've been made to understand it for so many years.
Make it look funny.
We're not even funny, stereotype it. We're not going to progress, and I think that's where we need to be a little sensitive.
So do we see you are a producer also, do we see you producing something at some point of time?
Sure, I would love to. Again, being someone who's experienced it, of course, I'm looking out for that, but I also need to find the correct writer and the correct director who will understand it in the same way as people like us who work in the field of mental health, and understand the nuances of it, and at the same time interpret it in a way that makes it an interesting narrative for a full-fledged feature film.
It has to be realistic and yet constructive.
Yeah.